feel like there should be a whole team just like prepping us.
I know. We need like full glam.
I don't know if it shocked you when I told you that I've never been on a dating app.
I was very shocked.
Were you?
It's weird because I think of you like much older than me.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't know why. I think it's your accent. Do you know what I mean?
Do you like them? Do you like these dating apps?
I hate the apps so much. Well, it depends. I've met like some boyfriends through the apps. I've met how many? 1, 2. So it works, but like in the in-between periods when you're not meeting anybody, it's like, it's very painful.
Do you sometimes feel like it can be very strict? Like it's just severe, the judging is severe on both sides?
Yeah,
Where
I could be saying no to so many guys that I'm compatible with.
you're selling something that people need to buy into,
Yeah.
right? And then when they don't, you go straight into, fuck, my product is horrible, as opposed to like maybe my marketing strategy is actually horrible. And that is something that like the repercussion of that in therapy have been crazy, because people's self-esteem has just really taken
It like
a
really,
hit.
I have this dream of having a career where I make over guys' profiles on dating apps.
So from our conversation yesterday, I don't know if it shocked you when I told you that I've never been on a dating app in my life.
I was very shocked.
Were you?
Yeah, I was.
Did you feel like I was your mother telling you this?
Yeah, no, not my mother. Well, it's weird because I think of you like much older than me.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't know why. I think it's your accent. Do you know what I mean?
Why does my accent
It's
make
just
you
like
feel older?
elegant and like mature.
It is mature because I have to.
No, it's like proper. I think that's what it is.
Okay, interesting.
Like it's not as obvious how old you are because of your accent.
Okay.
Same with Natasha. Both of you.
Maybe it's the French.
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But is that all? That's why you think I'm older?
That's
Because by
it.
the way, I have clients that are my age that
Yeah.
will tell me the same thing. They'll say, "I feel like you're much older," and I think it's that role of being a therapist that you're just very wise also, and you share a lot of that wisdom.
Yeah.
Anyway, I always say I'm a very, very, very old soul. Like I know.
No,
I've
you
lived,
you seem like one.
yeah, I feel like I've lived a lot of lives.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so you feel like I'm your mother when I told you that
It's more just like, well, it's hard to say whether it's like good or bad.
yeah, true.
Like it's like
True.
part of me is like I'm really jealous, and then the other part's like,
You've missed out on something.
and I don't know if like it was good or bad either. Like
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at where
yeah.
I am. So
Yeah. I mean that whole conversation you and I started with us realizing that like we lived our 20s in a very different way.
Yeah.
Where I've been in one relationship since I've been 21.
yeah.
And you've been in different relationships, and
Yeah.
you've dated also quite a lot during your 20s. And that conversation started yesterday when we were looking at that dating app, and I realized that I've never been on these apps. Like not only have I never been, but even just looking at all the stuff that people ask, like it's a community as well of people that you get to see, to meet, to bond with on a
There's
positive
very little bonding.
yeah, but like even, it's just the fact that like you're all in there together,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there's like people that are in a relationship that are not.
They're not, but then they come on board when the relationship
When the
doesn't
relationship
work out,
ends.
and they're like, "How'd you get here?" And it's like, "Never
Yeah.
thought I'd be here, and now I'm
Yeah.
on it." So
Yeah, very, very true. Do you like them? Do you like these dating apps?
I hate the app so much. It's like I'll go through well, it depends. I've met like some boyfriends through the apps. I've met how many? 1, 2, like 3 boyfriends have been on the app. So it works. My best friend married
Yeah.
a guy that she met on an app,
Yeah.
and like they have a baby. But like in the in-between periods when you're not meeting anybody, it's like it's very painful because like, is this who I'm meant to be with?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just so
Yeah, yeah.
not what you're looking for. And like I feel like I've told you this, I'll like swipe and literally count to 100, and like I can do it 5 times and I still won't find someone to swipe on. But then there'll be another time where I'm on and it's like they're just giving me like all the most swiped people that I'm like, these are the good people finally.
I mean, obviously, it's based on looks, right? That first impression, which, to be fair, also like when you're out in a bar or in a restaurant or like at a party and you meet someone, it's also based on look. But usually, it's not unless like you cross, let's say, eyes somewhere, and then yes, there's like the scanning the same way as in an app. Most of the time you already start talking to them, like there's a bit of a flirting, a bit of like banter, there's humor also in it that you really don't get off an app. So do you sometimes feel like it can be very strict, like it's just severe, the judging is severe on both sides?
Yeah,
what you do and what they also do?
I like have both thoughts, where I've had so many thoughts about it, but just like where I'm like, I could be saying no to so many guys that I'm compatible with. But then I've learned, and maybe just through doing social media for so long and just being really good at analyzing pictures, that like I can see something within pictures a lot of the time where I'm like, there's something about that's so off about like this, that I just know that the guy I'm meant to be with, because I am such an aesthetic person. Not saying I need someone who's aesthetic, but there's just something like the pictures from like, it seems like it's from 2012, and it's just like, I don't know, something's off, or like a prompt is off, and you can just tell like this is below what I'm looking for. But then there's people that like, even there's people that I'm like, they're not that hot, but like there's something interesting about their profile, and like something in their prompts is like calling to me.
So what you're saying is that you'll go into the profile and check some stuff out. So it's not just because I remember when Tinder first got out, it was just literally like you look and then you swipe on either side. So there was not more substance to it. And for me, it's super interesting because one, I've never been on them for the simple reason that like I've been in this very 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 long relationship. But it's also, I've heard of it through a lot of my clients, and it was very interesting for me to see this through their perception, because a lot of them were getting extremely affected by the rejection that they would feel on dating apps. And there was almost this like having to bring a lot of people back to earth, being almost like, wake up. They are only judging you based on your physical appearance. And I used to have this client, I remember his profile looked horrible, like shit, really. And because he showed me, and I'm like, wait. So your picture is quite, really not nice. You also are on the platform trying to meet, so this was a man, he was trying to meet a girl, but then you have also the LGBTQ flag on because you're bisexual. So already that's the message that you're sending. You have put absolutely zero effort. Your picture is like so far away, we can't see anything. And I said, the moment that you're entering the dating app world, you are, maybe nowadays it's changed a little bit because they're asking more questions, but before, when it was really based just on that one picture, you are entering a game that is solely based on physical appearance. But yet you are refusing to play the game of physical appearance. And worse than that, which is fine, up until now it's fine, but worse than that is that when you're not getting matched, you're getting super offended and you're taking it very personally. So how, and I remember I told him, how does that make sense? You are competing with guys that like have understood the game. This is a physical game. All right, let me remove my shirt. Let me show you my six pack and my biceps.
Except for that, like, and sorry if you like topless photos, but like that's a big no-no. And like,
but you see what I mean? It's like, but if someone is attracted to that, why would they give you, who's like 6 meters away from the camera with a rainbow flag, a chance? Give me like, one reason why they would.
That's like, I have this dream of having a career where I make over guys' profiles on dating apps, because I just like, so many of them are like suffering in so many ways, and it's really just easy tweaks. And it's like, just let's set up a photo shoot, like where you're chilling, or like, I don't know, we can make some like cute photos happen. Let's change your prompts. It's literally that simple. And you would be getting so many more girls. Because
it's a game of selling. You are selling, I'm not saying that you're selling yourself, but you're selling an image. You're selling something that people need to buy into, right? And then when they don't, you go straight into, fuck, my product is horrible, as opposed to like, maybe my marketing strategy is actually horrible. And that is something that like the repercussion of that in therapy have been crazy, because people's self-esteem has just really, really, really taken
like
a
really
hit.
Not, I don't have that exact issue, but like what I hear a lot from girls, at least, is that nobody messages each other. And so then you're like, why is nobody messaging? But it's like become the nature of the apps. It's like you match, and then it like boosts your ego a little, but then you don't have enough energy to engage in a conversation. And this is what's happening on like a mass scale. And then like there are obviously phases where people will reach out and then you like connect, but it's not happy. Like if I open my app right now, I might have like 100 like people that have liked my stuff. The chances are I might actually not like any of those 100 people. And then if I match, let's say, with 5 of them, I'm definitely not reaching out first. And then they might not reach out. Maybe one would reach out to me.
Hence why Bumble is just so different as well, right? Because like women go first. But it's
not to say that I wouldn't reach out first. I have many times. It's just like the stage that I'm at right now, I just don't care to reach out first.
Yeah. Because what? You're fed up?
I was fed up for a while. And then, I just feel like the guy I'm looking for will message me first. I just truly believe, like,
you trust that.
I trust that, like, I will attract the type of person
that we want to reach.
Like, I'm seeing this profile and this like looks like someone, and I'm gonna put in a little bit of effort. Like, that's the lack of effort that I see across the board, and even just like down to the first date, it's like there's very minimal effort that needs to happen, and it doesn't even happen.
Yeah, because I mean the whole world of dating has completely changed.
Yeah.
Like even human interactions has completely changed. I always say the moment that you are online, it's like everything is permitted. So in real life, you wouldn't maybe ghost someone in the same way. In real life, if you've made eye contact or you've like spoken with someone at the bar and offered them a drink, and then like you go to the bathroom and they like cross by and they say something, you wouldn't just like turn your back in the same way that like on a message. So you have a lot of social norms that have just completely disappeared. And I think that transition was very hard for a lot of people that if initially your self-esteem is quite low, it's very easy to very much take it personally. And I remember that there was a time I told a couple of clients that were on these apps, I said, if you're not ready for rejection is a must. That's it. The moment that you get on these apps, you will get rejected. If you are not resilient enough, if you're not strong enough to separate yourself and your worth from these rejection, don't get on these apps. You're not ready for that kind of vibe.
And it's like interesting you say that, because like in therapy, that's what I worked a lot on in the last couple of months, was like my sensitivity to rejection with these guys that I would have one date with, and then either like they just didn't see me as like girlfriend material for whatever reason, and I would want to like they would wait like a couple days to text me, and I'm like, I don't get it, like I don't get what's happening.
Yes, it's like on top of the fact that I didn't even have fun, it's like you also didn't have fun, and that's a confirmation of something.
Well, no, the thing is, I also just started dating again in April after taking almost a year off from dating. So I like, when I started again, like when I went on my first date in New York, I was like, I'm gonna have the best luck. Like, this is gonna be my boyfriend. And like, we had the best night. I thought I was in love with him, and I thought we were gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend. And then like when he didn't, or like he made very little contact with me the next day, and then 3 days went by, he didn't ask me out, and I was devastated. Like, my self-esteem was so low. I couldn't understand like why. Like, it's like I think so like highly of myself. It's like, what did I do wrong? What did I say that wasn't a match for him? And then in therapy, I like, after having like 3 of those experiences where I thought I hit it off with someone, but I think I was just like projecting my desperation of wanting to be in a relationship onto them. And like, when I look back, they actually really weren't the right guys for me for a lot of reasons. But I was just like, I don't want to be single anymore. Like, I put in the effort. I went on these 3 dates. Like, it should be working already.
It's 2 things. The first thing that you mentioned is like, it almost feels like it's work, right?
Yeah.
When you said like, I took a year off from doing that, I then started doing it again. It feels like it
becomes a job.
And it is a job, right? Now, the second thing that you said, and I find this so interesting, because again, even as a therapist, as my clients' age group also changes. So now I'm seeing a lot of women in their 30s, beginning 30s, who are single and are very, 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 very afraid of being on their own, right? And what I started realizing as well is that a lot of them actually want boyfriends for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And that was something that was really getting to me as a therapist, and also as a woman seeing this, because That's what I was talking about before, is that there's this desire to be rescued. That if I have a boyfriend, then it means that, look, like I can parade around with my boyfriend, I can travel with someone, I can finally show my friends that like I'm also in a couple, we can get invited to like double dates.
Yeah.
My worth automatically becomes more because I am in that couple.
Yeah.
Right? When the person might not be right for you, when the person, there's just not this like kind of connection.
Yeah.
But the way that they are waiting for that person to come and save them is very sad. And don't get me wrong, I love being in a relationship because I see the not the potential, but I see the positives in it. I love the teamship, the partnership, and that's why I am in this relationship with Alex. But Alex is not here to give me more value as a person. And not having him in my life wouldn't remove anything from I'm not less, you know, just because I don't have that. And one thing that I also realized with a lot of them is that their criteria for boyfriends were crazy. I was just like, what do you mean you need this person to like have this and have that and have this and have that? I would look at these lists. I would literally ask them to like write down lists.
I have a list in my phone.
Of course you do. I was like, show me your list.
Yeah.
They would show me their list, and I would look at that list, and I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why do you need this person to be great at all these? I'm like, that person.
No, they don't need to be great at stuff.
They don't need to be great all that. But it's like, yeah, but what if I want to bring this person to my family, and I want them to see that like I landed someone great.
Yeah.
Why do you need them to see that you landed someone great?
Everyone has such different reasons for picking. Like,
There you
like
go.
when you even say that, it's like I don't even think like I know I'll pick someone that my parents will approve of. I just know I will. I mean, there's been people in the past that are like, some are better than others, but there's never been like some degenerate that's like come. But like getting back to the desperation of like women in their early 30s, and we spoke about this yesterday, was just like the societal pressure that we're taught at a very young age, that by the time you're 30 you need to be married, have kids, own a house, and like if you don't have that, you're going to be an old maid. And that's kind of like what happened to me when I broke up with my ex. I was 31 and I thought we were going to get married, and like so in the last year and a half, when I've been like going through the transition of like getting out of the toxic relationship, going through the depression, then like battling all the other emotions that come, or just like all my friends started having kids and I'm like, I'm so far behind. And then there were a lot of voices in the last year on podcasts or whatever that were like speaking to exactly what I was going through, that really helped me get through it. But like the work in therapy this year, a lot was like, so getting back into the dating scene, getting rejected, whatever, I had to like really get to the root of this rejection. I mean, I don't think people handle rejection well, but I like seriously get shattered from rejection. Like I really like, I can't eat. I'm just like emotionally stunted. And then we really broke down like because I was saying to her, when I reject someone, it's because like there is an obvious thing, like he smelled, or like there is such like and that's what hurts me, is like, what if there's something that I don't know about myself that they're picking up that I don't know about? Because a lot of time when I reject people, that's like what it is. It's like things that I could never tell them. And so whatever, we got to the root of like, let's say there is that thing, like I don't even remember what happened, but at the end of it, I was like free of this fear. And then after that, it's like overcoming the battle of loneliness. And it's like, you want to travel, you want to do something with someone, you want to go out to dinner. And I had been alone for like a year and a half at this point, just like doing everything by myself. And I just was waking up and I was still suffering. And I'm like, I have to like become okay with my loneliness. And then we did a lot of work in therapy with that. And that's like where I am now. I had decided I was going to choose happiness, like no matter what. And that's what I've been doing. And then like all of a sudden, like doors started opening when I just surrendered to the fact that like, if I'm single for the rest of my life, that's totally fine. I have an amazing life. I actually like now love doing everything by myself.
Exactly.
And then I ended up meeting someone 3 weeks ago, and it's like the first time in my life I'm not looking for someone out of desperation, that the fact that he likes me so much, actually I've become the avoidant one. where I'm always like the anxious one, and I'm like, hold up, I don't know if I'm ready for this, like all of a sudden, when this is something I wanted since I was like literally 5 years old. So it's like an interesting position to be in.
When you said be comfortable with my loneliness, I was thinking, yes, it's actually being comfortable just with my own presence. And I always say this to clients and to myself. If you don't like spending time with you, why would other people like to spend time with you? Like,
and I like remember you saying that, and like obviously my therapist has said a bunch of stuff, and then I read like a couple of self-help books in the last couple of months about it, and I was just able to like challenge my thinking. Like anytime I would have a thought like you're gonna be lonely and you're gonna be like a big old loser for the rest of your life, I'd be like, well, is this 100% true? No, there's no evidence that this is 100% true. And then like, is this thought serving me? And the answer was like, no, it's actually not serving me. It's making me suffer. So once I was able to flip that, I started challenging every day that inner dialogue of like, I'm going to be single forever. I'm a loser. Like, but whatever, like the negative self-talk. That's what I mean.
I'll just add this to what you were saying, that the desperation is that for me is the real poison here, because the fact that you are in a relationship or not, for a lot of people feels just like something that you've just did. Yeah. And whenever I have clients that say that, I always tell them, I take my relationship as an example, and I say, what you're saying right now, I'm fine, I'm married, and I've been with this person for a very long time. So obviously I'm secure in that relationship, but that doesn't prevent this person from leaving me like that.
Right.
And if they do, and I don't have that check, let's say in that box, what would you then say about me? Would you go like, oh my God, this is like horrible. Oh my gosh, she's not worthy. I still have these like 10 years to show for my worth. If this is how you, but still I'm now single. What do you do with that? And how and why is this linked to my own self-worth? And an example that I used to give them is that so this client, I gave her that example. It was just, when you're having like this moment in therapy as a therapist where you're just like, this was a fucking great example. I'm so proud of myself. There's a door with all of your great qualities, who you are at your best, where you get to like just connect with yourself. And you're sitting at the other side of that door. And the key is like literally around your neck. But in your mind, the only person that can open that door is a boy. That comes into your life. The moment that you are in a relationship, you're like the happiest. You've never been this good. You're like on top of your game. You feel like your self-worth is just like amazing. And the same way that he's opened that door for you, the same way that he closes it the moment that he leaves you, and you're like, oh my God, I'm a loser. No one wants me. I'm unlovable, and blah, blah. And I said, but do you realize that the moment that he takes the key, that key was just like hanging around your neck. And when he closes that door, he puts it back on. You are the one that generally refuses to be like, oh, wait, the key is here. It's my job to go and open that door. It's my job to go and explore that world. It's also my job to close it if I want to close it. But it's giving all that power to another person that's going to come and save you, or that's going to come and make you explore that side of you. That is the real work in therapy that we do with people that have that kind of low self-esteem.
It's like, it's interesting because it's like the relationship topic is something I worked in therapy on for 10 years, but it's like you logically know exactly what you're saying. Like, you need to be the one to love yourself. And while like I went through phases where like, first of all, I didn't even know I had low self-esteem until I told you I did that post where I was like, I don't know about, like, I think my self-esteem is incredible and I can't even relate to this. And then when I started creating the post, I was like, oh my God, I'm like learning so much stuff. And like, actually this is clearly showing that like my self-esteem is low if I'm putting the emphasis on like my happiness on a guy. And like, when I look back on my life, it's like, the saddest moments of my life were in between relationships because I was heartbroken. And the best moments were when I was in relationships. But now that I'm like had enough time to be single and like really have this transformative experience, and maybe it comes with age and being in my 30s, I just got to a point where like I knew I had to make that change. But it's like, you are not ready for that change until you're ready for it. And there's no amount, like, you don't know when it's going to happen.
You said something important, but I understood it but I never felt it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest difference between all of that, is that a lot of people understand things and you can repeat that until they actually embody them and feel them.
Yeah.
It won't click.
Yeah, you have to like go through so many like different paradigm shifts to get to a point where you're like, this is clicking, this is all. Also, like when I look back, I was so unhappy this year. I couldn't have even attracted the right person because like I was suffering. And I told you yesterday, my suffering didn't fully end until like my ex reached out to me a year and a half later, and like everything was fulfilled that I wanted. Like he didn't change and it wasn't me, and it was a lot of ego stuff, but it like did close a chapter on it for me, and it set me free in a way where I was able to like not be a prisoner of that situation or the sadness and depression that I felt. And then I was able to get to the next level of being like, okay, I'm gonna unlock the rejection and the loneliness, and then I'm gonna get okay with that, and then I'm graduating to the next level of like different levels of consciousness, and then like just keep going and going and going. And
it's so good.
Yeah,
that's the work.
It's the work, and you just have to like get a lot of self-help books and like go to therapy, but like it's like just deciding that like even if inside you're feeling so depressed and anxious, like you can also, I know it's really hard, but like you can also choose to see. And it also goes with one of the posts that we did about glimmers. It's like there are days when I'm feeling so off, and I'm like, now it's usually hormonally related, but it's like I'm feeling so depleted. The world feels so awful, and then I'll go outside and I'll smell something really good, or the sun will like set in a beautiful way, or I'll hear a classical song and it like hits me, and I'm like, these are the little moments of the day that bring me joy. So when you can calculate all of those, it can like trump the negative feelings that I have. And it's also okay for a moment to have sadness. Like right now the world is very sad, but like it's also really happy at the same time. So you can feel sadness and happiness at the same time.
Yeah, it's the coexistence of all these things. Should we do the questions?
Yes.
Okay. Is infidelity a deal breaker?
Yes.
Okay.
What about you? Okay. You said keep it short, and so I can't keep that one short.
No, you can say
I think, historically, clearly it hasn't been a deal breaker for me because I have gone back after people have cheated on me. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I would tell you that younger me would have said, no way, ciao, Jose, I'm done with this relationship. As I'm getting older and I know how difficult it is to have a good, healthy relationship, how difficult it is to also be married. Monogamy is not the most natural thing. Let's just put it that way. So I also understand that. My understanding of relationships has just grown and matured very much, which for me, it's not a deal breaker in the sense that we need to divorce. If it could be something else that like makes you
something else is lacking.
Fine. But for me, no, it's like you need to work through it. There's a lot of pain that comes from it, that's for sure. But it's a rupture, and you can either decide sometimes to mend that rupture, or you can decide to let it go. And I used to be very, not judgmental, but I used to think like, oh my God, why did she stay with him after about, I now get it. Now I'm just like, I get it.
I get both. Like I lean more towards the side of like, I don't know if I'll get over it, but like I agree with everything you said. And like, that's why it's not so black and white.
Yeah, it really is not so black and white. What's the biggest green flag in a partner?
The biggest, like someone who can talk about their emotions. For me, someone that has depth, trustworthy. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah. I'll give you an action, but it's very representative. Massive green flag for me is him just or like the partner being able to call you back call you back or come back in the room when you've had a really long fight, and just saying like, okay, let's just talk about that.
I think a good fighter is a green flag, like someone who you can have a fight with, and it doesn't like string on for days and cause you so much anxiety.
So that really is, for me, it's just them coming back. That's the biggest green flag. Or I go, this is great. Is sex that important in a relationship?
It's not so black and white.
Ask them.
I feel like I think their society makes this idea that like if you're not having sex literally like every day or like 2 times a week or 3 times a week. I mean,
like
in a long-term relationship, maybe in the beginning you're having sex every day. But yeah, it's like then there must be something wrong or you're not in love anymore or whatever. Again, this is like I'm so interested in human sexuality and like long-term relationships and sex. I don't have an answer if it's that important. I think it's very important in some ways, and then in other ways maybe there are people that have incredible relationships that only have sex a few times like a year.
My answer to this is define sex, because for me it's not, I always say I think it's important that a couple is sexual towards one another, and when I say sexual it doesn't mean sex specifically. It means like you touch each other, you hug each other, you lean on each other's, physically, you something as simple as like just, someone walking behind you and just giving you a kiss. That's like you've been, sexual is not perhaps the right word, but like you've been intimate, physically intimate in some kind of way. So sex is not the most important thing, but that kind of physical proximity is important to just, it's almost like, I say this sometimes to couples, what would, if someone was to look at you, how would they know that you're a couple and not like brothers and sisters or like just friends?
I also think
fine, like I just like caressed her hand when she was like cooking. Or, okay, fine.
Or like grabbed her waist.
Yeah, that's
but like men and women do approach sex differently, and there are like also just different blueprints of sex. So it's like you have to be aligned, and most people are running on like what they've learned on porn their whole life. So it's like there's just a lot of people don't really actually understand how to touch each other or like how to actually be intimate in each other with each other in the way that each other need to be, and they're just doing what they saw in porn.
Well, it comes back down to communication, right? Being able to
or there's no education. There's such a lack of sex education. Like no one's taught anything about like anything. Is love the most important ingredient in a relationship?
No, it's very important, but it's like, it's literally that. It's as if I told you I want to bake a cake and I need like, let's say it's a non-gluten, non-vegan, non-everything cake, and I need flour. Okay, great. It's a very important ingredient, right? And then I need other ingredients. But if I don't have an oven, it's just a batter.
Yeah.
So love is a very important ingredient, but for me, the oven is like what it is that you do with all that love, because you have a lot of toxic love, you have a lot of love that is also very platonic. It's how do you foster that love, and what do you create with it? So yeah, I would say it's the oven that is the most important thing. My favorite question to ask my clients whenever they are talking about toxic relationships is, how are you sure that you're not the one? I'm not talking about like victims here, okay? I'm talking about clients that like are in relationships that are quite equal, and there's a lot of drama happening, and there's a lot of like, they said this, I said that, they're very toxic, oh my God, blah, blah. My favorite question to them is, what makes you so sure that you're not the toxic one, or maybe as toxic as they are? And I have the same reaction every time I ask clients that question, when they just go like, what? It's like, a lot of people don't even consider their own toxic behaviors, because if we get hurt by someone, if we get cheated by someone, if someone lied to us in a romantic relationship, that's it. We're very quick to be like, oh my God, they're toxic. Oh my God, they did this to me. Oh, I'm the victim here. But what if actually you also engage, you also reinforce that toxicity together? What if you are also someone that has a lot of unhealthy boundaries, let's say, around love? And I was wondering if you ever asked yourself that question.
I've never asked myself, or it's not that I've never asked myself. There are times when I've been toxic. There are times when I know I'm being toxic. And when I was younger, like we spoke about this yesterday, in younger relationships, if someone did something wrong to me, it's like what you said, I'll go and like do something so much worse. I'm so petty like that. I've had to like really mature from that, and I don't do that anymore. In my most recent toxic relationship, I mean, he was definitely like toxic, but it takes two to tango. And so I was like, I think I wasn't necessarily doing anything consciously, like to be toxic, but there were things that I did that just triggered him to be mean to me that like I don't like that don't even make sense to me. I mean, little things like if I stepped on his white shoe, because I'm just like fumble when I walk sometimes, if I would step on his shoe, it was like as if I punched him in the face.
You like, yeah.
It's like I did something so bad, or just like, I mean, that's such a little example, but like I think I kept going back. So it's like we would break up, or like I just couldn't. I stayed, and I think that's what made me toxic. Also, like I just so badly wanted him to be the person he was when he was nice to me, and then when he would just all of a sudden become cold, and like I didn't know what happened. Like he would just become a different person. I just would like want to get to the root of it, and like he didn't want to talk about it because he's avoidant, and I'm anxious, and you take an avoidant attachment style and anxious attachment style, you're going to be going in this circle of one person running, one person chasing, and then when the avoidant gets enough space, they come back, they love bomb you, and then the cycle continues. And it's like, yeah. So
I think, I just think it's an important question that people in relationships that doesn't feel, because sometimes, you really do have partners that like just completely take over, and you don't have a lot of say. You're very much in that people pleasing mode. You just want to keep the peace around, and so that these are not really the relationship that I'm talking about here. It's a lot more the fight that just it's like you make yourselves the worst versions of yourselves basically, and in those moments I find it can be very dangerous if the person just goes, it's all them, it's never me, I never do anything bad. And I think reflecting about our own sense of toxicity every now and then is important, especially if like you do have that a bit in you.
I think not in this last situation, but in the situation before, which was a very healthy relationship, but I could see myself being controlling in certain ways, like but I could own up to it and be like, I'm being controlling, I'm trying to shape him, and I'm trying to mold him into the guy that I want him to be. And these were like things that I had to work on in therapy. Ultimately, he wasn't the guy for me. And then I go back and forth between, was my gut right, or was I actually being controlling, or is it just a mix of both? But
it could be a mix of both.
It's a mix of both. But it's like you just are constantly like, if only he was doing this, or if only he dressed like this, or or like, I don't know, took part in these things, he would be so much cooler and better.
All right, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Did you learn anything?